Welcome to Cruise Kibitz, where we give you all the advice that you didn't ask for.
Welcome back to another episode of Cruise Kibitz. My name is Siobhan, and I am from Parker's on the Go.
And I am Cheryl, also known as Sig Cruiser.
And I'm Kiki from Team Reese Travels.
And today we have another episode from you guys. Actually, this episode is fueled by you guys. You guys sent in a question, and we want to try our best to give you the answer without being too long with it. So, Kiki, do you have the question that was sent in for us?
I do. So this question is from Miss Daphne, and she commented on our top mistakes to avoid for new cruisers video from a couple weeks ago. And her comment says, "Hello, ladies. You know I always enjoy you all collectively and individually. Yes, I've traveled without insurance and was nervous the whole time, so I will always get it now. What I want to know is the difference between getting the cruise lines insurance or something different. Can you also go through the process of having to file a claim and the time lengths, do's and don'ts, etc., etc.? Working at a medical clinic, I deal with insurance and I know sometimes they don't want to pay. Thanks and God bless."
All right, that is Miss Daphne. That was a good question.
Yes.
We are going to do our best to answer it, but I think we'll start by kind of going over some of the different cruise lines. And since there are so many, we'll take two and we'll just kind of offer you some of the things that they offer. So, looking at Carnival Cruise Lines insurance, they do offer trip interruption, baggage protection up to $1,500. They offer medical coverage up to $10,000 if you're sick or injured. And they also offer emergency evacuation up to $30,000 for any medical evacuation or any kind of services provided by Life Travel. So that's very specific. You kind of got to read into the details of what they offer. As far as Royal Caribbean is concerned, they do have a protection plan. It offers cancel, but they have different types of policies. So you have to remember to ask those questions, which one you're getting. They also offer travel delay coverage, medical protection, luggage protection, and then they have a 24-hour support line. So those are just some of the things that are offered as far as a cruise line are concerned.
Mm-hmm.
The difference in between the cruise lines travel insurance and then let's say Allianz travel is you can pick between 3 different types of coverages with Allianz, and they offer COVID protection. So they add that on as a rider as far as some of the perks that you can get, and you can also buy a plan for the whole family. So those are just a little bit of the backgrounds of what you can get for purchasing the travel insurance for the cruise line versus maybe purchasing them outside of the cruise line. Have you ladies had any experience with any of the travel insurance or any kind of experience as far as any kind of travel insurance stories?
So I have not had any like major experiences with them. The one thing I did want to point out though, since you mentioned like differences between the cruise line and like an external insurance company, I like doing the external way because I get to insure the entire trip that way. Most of the time, we're not just flying in on the day of the cruise. We're flying in a day or two before. We might be staying a day or two after. I want my flights covered. I want whatever we're doing. Like, I want that entire trip covered. And that's not something you get through cruise line insurance unless you happen to book your flight through cruise line. And we all know the flights through the cruise line are crazy pricey. But my actual experience with having a claim is pretty limited. So I think we should hear from Cheryl because I think she got some experiences to share with us.
Well, yes, I do. So, well, first I will say, now I did when I first started solo cruising, and the insurance, I went ahead and just bought the insurance through the cruise line, basically just to have coverage. I didn't know any better. It wasn't until I started cruising more that I started, like hearing other conversations or other people talking about, the insurance and like their what they offer. It may not be the same as there are other options out there. So I started investigating, and with that, I did, like started purchasing insurance outside of the cruise line, but and I've had experience with a couple of different companies. Now, I've never had to file a claim for like anything medical, but I remember at least two claims that I had to file, and these were with two different companies. I think the one when I was in caught up in Hurricane Dorian, the insurance I had was. They had you can file a claim for like missed ports. If your ports are missed for any reason that's I think it had to be like a reason that's not no, it is weather related, but there were certain stipulations in there. But for the hurricane, it did qualify, so I was able to file a claim on that. And then there was another time when the cruise line lost my bags. I guess I know I've talked about it before. I'm not going to mention the cruise line,
No
'cause
names, no names.
but and I ended up getting it back, at the end of the cruise. But still, there were things that I had to purchase, for the duration of my cruise. So I was able to get those reimbursed. Now, the two different cruise lines or insurance companies, one was a hassle. It's like when I put in my claim and followed up on it like 2 weeks later, they're like, what claim? We never received anything. And I had put it in their portal, so I'm pretty sure, that it went through. So when I had to resubmit, I had to resubmit the exact same way. And because I followed up like the next day and I had to follow up almost every day, then, when I stayed on top of it, then it was there. So, and even with that, the claim, it took, I can't remember how many days, but it took a while. Um, the second company that I was with, that I filed a claim with, Allianz. That's who I have insurance with now, and I always get their insurance. Not an endorsement, for anybody. That's just a personal choice. And I had to file a claim, and I filed it, and I would say within a week, I had my reimbursement. It was quick, it was easy. I just did it like online or through their app or something. Provided all of the information, and it just went through. No questions. I didn't have to talk to anyone. No questions asked. So I think it makes a difference. What company, and to me, it's kind of hard to research that type of thing because you don't want to have to file a claim. But I think one thing that may help is looking at reviews, because when people have a bad experience, they're going to write a review about it. So
Absolutely. Now, with the current insurer that you have your plan with, do you have the annual plan or do you just purchase per trip?
I want to get the annual plan, but right now I just do it per trip. And I keep saying I'm going to look into the annual plan. The only I did have a concern about the coverage and the amount. So, but that's something that I just need to research myself to see if I think it's worth it or valuable. But I know a lot of people who cruise multiple or even travel multiple times a year, they get the annual plan. So it's something I'm going to look at.
Yeah, absolutely. I do know one thing from as far as some of the training that I've done is that, especially with Allianz, they do offer, if you get the annual plan, you can certainly still purchase individual plans if you feel like that's going to take a chunk out of the portion of your annual plan if you have a loss. So that is the perk. Just because you buy one does not stop you from purchasing another. So that is something that will definitely help you out in the long run. How about you, Kiki? Do you have any experience as far as insurance is concerned?
I do. So if you guys remember when we were on Celebrity together, originally my sister was going to be sailing with us, and she ended up having to cancel. We found out really last minute that she would not be able to go. I think it was like the day before I was flying out to Miami to meet up with you guys. And so we had the insurance. We had insurance through Celebrity. and I contacted them when we made the decision that she wasn't going to come. I contacted them, and it was pretty seamless. They said, okay, we're going to note it down. We can't actually start the claim until the cruise ends. They have to make sure, that the person doesn't show up for the cruise. Once the cruise ended, they said, hey, contact me back. I think there was one little piece of information that I had to get from Siobhan as my travel agent that I would need when I called them back. I was able to get that. And I contacted them after the cruise ended, and they took care of it. They got it. They processed the claim. They refunded the amount for her fare. So let's talk about that.
Aha.
Aha. So we booked that celebrity cruise. I have not seen a celebrity cruise deal that good since we went on that ship. That's one thing.
Mhm.
It was a very good fare because it was like the fare itself for one person was very low anyway, and then it was like the second guest sale for
I think it was 70%
30%.
off.
Yeah, 70% off.
Mhm.
Second guest sale for 70% off. So my sister was the second guest.
Yeah.
So when they processed my refund through the insurance claim, what I got back was my sister's fare, which was 70% off. So um now that worked fine because that's my sister. And we can work through that kind of thing. But if you imagine sailing with someone and just deciding to room with them and splitting the cost of the cruise right down the middle, because that's what you do, right? We split it down the middle, we share it. And now one person's not able to come, and what you get back is not what you paid because you're only getting back that 30% of the fare they had to pay, right? That can be an issue for someone. And so, like I said, it worked out fine for me. That's my sister. We gonna work through that kind of stuff. But it makes me wonder if I had had like an alliance, would
Yeah.
they have been that critical about, well, how much was the actual fare per person? I believe you only just put in the cost of the sailing. So they wouldn't even know who paid what. And I would have just been able to probably get back half of my money. But didn't work out that way. But the process, getting it taken care of, getting the money back, all of that was seamless. But one of the things that Daphne said was they don't want to pay.
Yeah.
That was a good way to get out of paying a good amount of that money for that cruise.
And
Yeah.
you do have to be careful about those things because sometimes I know, and I've heard experiences from other people. You kind of got to also be careful of the timing that you purchase your travel insurance, that you purchase them from these cruise companies, because if you put them on at a certain time and then you decide not to go, you may not get reimbursed for your cruise. So it's
Mhm.
also, yeah. So where Royal has two different options of travel protection, you have to
Oh.
be careful. You have to be careful. The no reason cancel for any reason, or if you're just getting a regular basic package. So you almost have to ask really good questions and make sure that you are very detailed in what you're doing when you're purchasing these travel insurances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, people with the cruise lines, they have their stipulations. With Royal Caribbean, if you live in New York City, you can't buy their travel insurance. You have to buy separate travel. You can't, yeah. So if you live in the state of New York, you cannot buy travel insurance with Royal Caribbean. They don't offer it. So it's a lot of different things and a lot of different things in the fine print that you kind of have to read as far as that is concerned, just to make sure that you are properly protecting yourself and then to make the proper decision on whether you're going to buy the travel insurance for the cruise company or the travel insurance or independently.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you brought up the timing thing too, because the cancel for any reason cancel for any reason insurance, most of the time you have to get that pretty quickly after you book your cruise. You can't wait, a month or two before you're sailing to decide you want that. I think you got to book that real like a week or two after
Yeah.
you book your cruise.
Time frame. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you
Yeah.
definitely gotta read into that. Have you guys had any experience? I know as far as like we were talking about purchasing outside because you want to cover your whole trip. Has anybody had an experience or had a client that's had experience with the trip delay portion of it? where maybe your flight didn't get in on time, and they will cover you to the next port, because sometimes that is an option as well.
I have not had to
Yeah,
do
I haven't. Yeah, I have not had any experience with that. I've had questions, about, the coverage through the cruise line, and then getting coverage outside. Some people actually don't realize that. They want to make sure that their airfare is covered as well. And I do also tell them to make sure, depending on how they insure, their airfare. I know, like some credit cards, if they're purchasing the airfare through the credit card, then they could have insurance on that as well. So when they are purchasing the insurance through me to cover their whole trip, I have them to look at that too. Not that it wouldn't hurt to pay double insurance, but I want them to be aware and be,
Yes.
because if you already have coverage, if you choose to buy additional coverage, that's fine. But if you already have coverage, see if you even need, coverage,
hmm
additional coverage. So yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know if you ladies remember the young lady that we met on the ship, and her friend flight got in late when we were on the Celebrity Sunday,
hmm Yeah.
Mhm.
and she had to actually meet the ship in Nassau, but that was our second stop.
Yeah.
So she actually got on the ship in Nassau, and then we were back in Miami the next day.
Yeah.
Um,
I remember
so
that.
as yeah, so her insurance covered it, but at what point is it worth it? Do you
Right.
just bite the bullet, or do you just
Yeah.
go with the trip?
Yeah. And I wonder, do you even get that choice? Do they make that
Right,
decision for you? Like, well, we're offering you that you can get on the ship in Nassau, and we're not offering nothing else. So,
right, right. Because they
oh
made good on their
wow.
part. They had the trip delay coverage, right? So if they offered that to you to get you there to the ship,
They're like,
you
we
know,
didn't say when, but we said we didn't get you there. We didn't say when. What part of
right. We got you on the cruise. It doesn't matter. We got you there.
Look, they could have put her in a car and drove her to Key West, and at least give her another day.
Right, right, exactly. You got to put me on the flight. Just give me a little shuttle to Key West. We'll let
Right.
it go. Yes. Well, any other key points that you ladies want to discuss before we end this awesome podcast?
I would say it's a hard thing to do, just like the cruise contracts, but people need to take the time to read them. To read the insurance. I know sometimes it can be a little, heavy reading, but at least, read the shortened version to understand, what's covered, and especially what's not covered, in case you have, just so that you're aware,
Yes.
and to understand what's there, and if you need to buy additional coverage, considering maybe your age or your health, or anything. So yeah, taking time to read the actual, policy, I think is important.
Yes. We definitely want to give the disclaimer that this is in no way any type of firm advice. We do, like Cheryl said, suggest that you guys go and do your research and make a choice according to your own research. We just picked three companies that offer insurance, and we just wanted to give you some of the key points that they offer. So please, this is a disclaimer. Do your homework.
Do your homework.
Do your homework.
Don't be
Absolutely.
like Cruise Kibitz told us.
No, 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 no. We just
Put
want to
them out.
give you a little information. This is such a hard topic to just break
Mhm.
down in 20 minutes. So we just want to give you guys a little information just so you can know to do your own research, do your homework, and make the decision that is best for you and your family.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
All right. So with that being said, Kiki, can you tell them how they can find Cruise Givers?
Sure. So you can reach us on Instagram. Cruise Kibitz will be our handle. You can also email us at cruisekibitz@gmail.com. You can also reach out to any of our individual channels. That would be Parkers on the Go, Sea Cruiser, or Team Reach Travels. But hey, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can comment right down below on the video that you're watching right now. Matter of fact, do that for us. Let us know what you thought of the discussion. If you got any further questions that you would like for us to cover in a future episode. So those are the ways that you can get a hold of Cruise Kibitz. So make sure you reach out.
Absolutely. And Cheryl,
I think we should call this a podcast.
I think we should call this a podcast. And with that being said, we will see you guys on the next episode of Cruise Kibitz. Happy cruising.
Happy cruising.